this is a rather unique intro, considering that I've already seen Black Panther Wakanda Forever last night, and I'm seeing it again today with a buddy of mine. But I am looking forward to seeing it again to see if it holds up after only one viewing, if it was the impact of everything the first time around, and that's why it was so good in my opinion. I mean, I'm pretty sure everything's going to hold up, but you never know. Just looking forward also to seeing it with a crowd again. I love seeing these Marvel films, and yes, DC films with a crowd. But I'm going with a buddy of mine, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he reacts, because I know he's really excited to see this film. So that always brings a smile to my face. I'm always happy about that when I get to see a movie with somebody who's really anxious to see it. Sometimes it's better, I think, if you see it the first time with them, but at the same point, it's kind of nice when you know what's happening so you can kind of watch their reactions a little bit. But anyway, it's raining. It's almost like the weather is mourning Chadwick again with this movie, or something else that happened today, which there'll be another short video I'll do about that. But yeah, I'm just really excited. So I'm going to go in here very shortly, watch this film again, and then I will give you my full review afterward. I'll see you then. I'll admit, I filmed that intro back when this movie first came out. But since then, I've had life happen. I've been busy doing other things. I've gotten sidetracked like any human being would. And I've also taken the time to talk about this movie with other people who have seen it, other fans of Marvel films, whether they've loved the movie or whether they haven't enjoyed it. You know, I've tried to just gauge people's thoughts and taken both sides of this conversation so that I can inform my own decisions and, you know, just have a better idea of why I think the way I do. So that's one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, this video has taken so long to get out. But I'm not going to delay anymore. This video is going to be divided into two parts, so there will be at least a little bit of editing for that. First, we're going to talk non-spoilers. It's going to be a non-spoiler video for anyone who may not have seen this movie yet, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already. And then we're going to cover the spoilers, talk about all the things that everyone's talking about, and I'll give my feelings on some of the things that people have been saying, or just my views on things overall. So let's start with just a broad, non-spoiler review of this movie. I think this movie's great. I saw it twice in a row, 2 days in a row, and it did not change my opinion about it. I thought the story was very solid. Yeah, there were some parts where you could have probably cut out a couple parts and made it a little bit shorter. But overall, I didn't mind the runtime because I was invested in the story, which, like I mentioned in my short, quick review, is something that is very high praise for me. Because, yes, I love stories. Story's important. That's the key to anything. But with superhero movies and TV shows, I'm the type of guy that I like the costumes. I like the powers. And if you focus on just the story and you don't give me enough of the other stuff, you know, blend it together well, I'm going to get upset. I'm going to be disappointed. But here, that wasn't the case. I bet you could have not had Black Panther in this movie at all. But then why would you have called it Black Panther? And I probably would have enjoyed it because I wasn't waiting. I wasn't like, okay, when are we going to see Black Panther? I want to see Black Panther. No, I was invested in the story. I was invested in the characters. I was invested in Namor and his background and why he was doing what he was doing. I was invested in the Queen. Her name's Ramonda. I couldn't remember that for a sec. I was invested in what she was thinking and her pain, how is she dealing with the fact that she's lost T'Challa? The same thing with Shuri. Shuri's story was so good about just how she's dealing with this. And that's something I don't think people were giving this movie enough credit for. This movie was from beginning to end, it focused on the royal family. It was about the pain of Shuri, the pain of the queen, and just of the nation itself. How does a nation deal with losing a beloved ruler? And then on top of that, how do they deal with another nation they never knew about? How do they deal with the outside world trying to get this valuable, this most precious metal that they don't have access to except in this nation? And I like that too. I like that we talked about the outside world. I like that we actually did see how T'Challa's actions at the end of Black Panther, how they affected the rest of the world, how things have changed. And I will say right off the bat, this has been said a lot, but it's said a lot because it's true. Angela Bassett steals the show as Ramonda here. She's got two extremely, extremely powerful monologues or speeches in this movie, and they resonate. They are so powerful. She delivers them so well. But that's not to take away from the moments when she's playing opposite Letitia as Shuri, when they have their mother-daughter moments. They work so well together, and these moments with her, I mean, man, this is a woman you do not want to mess around with. She is standing her ground. She's like, hey, I'm the queen, deal with it, or we're going to deal with you. From the very first scene, well, opening scene after the very beginning, which I'll talk about later, when you have her in with the UN, and she is saying, basically, you screwed up, but we're going to be the bigger man here, or we're going to be the bigger nation here. Just don't do it again. She, as I've said, and so many people have said, she's one of the most, if not the best character overall in this movie, just for how well she delivers her lines, for how much power she exudes. But that's not to take away from anybody else. The story, yes, the story revolves around all these characters, and you gotta have some focus. And that comes with, like I said, Ramonda, and it comes with Shuri, who Letitia Wright plays great. There's a reason she got the part and why she's Shuri. She had to step up in this movie without Chadwick there. And you can tell she's deeply moved by her brother's loss. Shuri is feeling something. She's thinking back about it. She's trying to prove something, it feels like. I mean, that might not come across right away, but the more you think about it, it's like, yeah, she's trying to prove that maybe she's not this flower that people thought she was, or I don't know, maybe I'm stretching. But the more I thought about it as I'm talking, I do feel like there's a part of her that's trying to prove to her mother, to her nation, that they need to pay attention to her. But more importantly, she's trying to prove something to herself. She's trying to prove that she deserves to be happy. Because she ain't happy after T'Challa's death, clearly. But then you've got other returning characters. Whether it's Lupita Nyong'o, who I love as Nakia. Clearly she's missing T'Challa too. I mean, and she is... Her roles, they haven't quite shifted, but they kind of have, because she was T'Challa's beloved. I'm just going to say that. She was, from the first movie, we can clearly tell T'Challa was in love with her. And I feel like she's kind of the big sister to Shuri here. And to Ramona, she's like the daughter she doesn't have. Well, she's like another daughter. Because she loves Shuri, clearly. But it seems like Nakia is another daughter that she can dote on and care about. And really, she's there for her. Okoye, played by Danny Gurria. I probably messed that up. Another great character. I feel like she's another one. We got really good development with her. We got to see her step out of her boundaries, or out of her box, I think. Because in the first movie, and even in the other spots where we saw her, I think we saw her in Civil War. I think it was somebody else in Falcon and Winter Soldier. But in those movies, it just felt like she was so focused on one task, one goal. And while that is still there for this movie, I feel like there's more to her. And that comes into a theme of the movie that I'll talk about in a little bit. And then, of course, the mighty M'Baku, Winston Duke. He's hilarious. He's so funny. I mean, he's great at this character. And he brings emotion to the role as well. Now, I will admit, I was a little confused by M'Baku the first 2 times I saw this movie, some of the things that happened. But my buddy Cletus explained things to me, and it made a lot of sense. It's weird to think that M'Baku in this movie might actually be the voice of reason in general. Now, the thing was, at first I was like, ooh, Naki is my favorite character. Oh, wait, no, Shuri's my favorite character. And, I was like, oh, this person's my favorite and this person's my favorite. But after really thinking about it, I don't think I have a favorite anymore. They're all so good. I mean, I could tell you who is lower on my list, probably. Like, I think I prefer Shuri maybe over M'Baku. But they all have their moments. And when they have their moments, they shine and they become the character you love. Now, I will say the Everett Ross stuff, I get why it's in there, and it is important to have an ally on the outside. And we also do need to see what's going on in the outside world, in the nations, what they're actually thinking about, and why certain things are happening. But that was the part of the movie that slowed down a little bit. You didn't need to take it out, but that did slow the movie down a little bit. I mean, some people will say that was completely unnecessary. I'm fine that it was in there. It was important. But those moments did slow it down a little bit. So let's talk about the 2 new main characters. You've got, I'm going to butcher the name. I'm just telling you that right now. You've got Tunic Huerta. Again, I know I butchered it. As Namor, or Namor, as they say once or twice. I'm not a fan of Namor. He's not one of my least favorite characters, but I did do some Namor comic book reading prior to this movie, and there was really nothing to him. Like, I didn't care. I'm still wondering, okay, who can you have as a big bad if you had to do a solo Namor movie? I'm not quite sure. If you're a big fan of Namor and you know more of this stuff than I do, go ahead and leave some comments down below and help me understand that a little bit. But that being said, he's fantastic as Namor. He has the depth. But he really brings out the character of Namor. You sympathize with him. You understand where he's coming from. You understand why he's, I'm not going to say he's begging, because he's not begging, but why he's talking with Wakanda about them needing to band together. Why he's talking to them about things that need to be done. Because all he ultimately cares about is protecting his city, his kingdom, his people. Which, that was the same way Wakanda was. And I think that's the way Wakanda still is. And can we really blame a guy for that? It's like a husband, or it's like any member of your family. Let's just say any member of your family. It's like if somebody came into my house and started to burglarize it, or threatened my wife, or anyone here that I care about, if friends were here, I'm going to stand up for them. I'm going to try and kick that person's butt. That's all Namor's doing. To Namor, his kingdom, his people are his family. He just wants to protect them. So when you look at it that way, it makes complete sense why he's doing what he's doing. And he even points these things out to Shuri. And yeah, while you're like, why are you hurting people? Why are you hurting above grounders, or air breathers, I think is what they call them? You're hurting people. You're destroying an entire nation. Think of it on a more personal level. And you'll see that he's not completely in the wrong when you think about it from that level. Again, Not that I condone mass murder or war. I don't condone any of that. But when you start looking at it from his perspective, is he really wrong? And Tenyuk, again, I probably butchered the name. He does such a good job of bringing that forward. He makes you care about this character. He makes this character mean something. That by the time he starts fighting and he and Black Panther go at it, oh, you're ready. You're ready to see him wreck shop. You're ready to see him wreck shit. Sorry for the swearing. But it's great. And he's so strong. The action scenes are fantastic with him in it. You do not want to mess with this guy. And he just shows that. He brings all that to the forefront. This is a character where I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with him in the future. And like I said, I don't really know what you could do with him in a solo film. But hey, he wasn't one of my favorites. He wasn't a character I read constantly, so there's probably something that I don't know. Then let's finally move on to the other new character. Dominique Thorne plays Riri Williams. Now, I just started reading Ironheart a couple months before this movie came out because I really had no desire to. But I thought, the character's coming out in the movies. I want to do some research. I want to get to know the character a little bit. And I actually liked her. I didn't think the character was that bad in the comics. It was a comic book I could actually read. Because there have been some recently that I've had a hard time digesting, let's say, or getting through just because they weren't the comic books I wanted to read. But the Ironheart books, I enjoyed. So I was looking forward to seeing this character. Again, she's another character. It's like, did we really need her? Do you really need her to be in this movie? You could have gotten anybody else really to play her part, as in another character to do what she does. But I love that they brought her into it. Now I'm actually excited to watch the Ironheart show on Disney Plus when it comes out, to see what they do with her after her experiences with Wakanda. And kind of makes me wonder, okay, what suit is she going to make now? But she's funny, she's young, she's naive to a certain degree, but she's smart. She's really, really smart, really intelligent. She's on that level. Correction, she's getting to the point that Shuri's at. Shuri is still smarter than her. Tony was still smarter than her. Wherever Reed Richards is, he's still smarter than her. But you can see her develop. When I say she's naive, I mean that she doesn't quite understand completely how the world works. She doesn't understand how thing A ends up with item B and then how everything accumulates in C or whatever. She just doesn't get how the world works completely yet. To a certain degree. She understands certain things about the world. But I think in the broader sense, she might not quite understand it yet. And that's why I think she's naive. But she develops through this movie and she learns about it. I think Wakanda and Tanakshin, I'm sorry, some of these names I just can't remember or can't say right. Through the events that she experiences between these two nations, she starts to see how the world works and she understands what are important and she grows as a character. So yeah, all these characters are great. There is not a single one that I'm like, I don't like you, you don't deserve to be here. There's some that maybe you could have changed. There are some that maybe you could have cut back on. But when all is said and done, it works. And they keep it engaging enough that I'm there for the ride and I'm enjoying myself and I want to know what happens and I'm caring about these characters. So that basically also covers the story. I'm all for the story. I think the story is great. I think it's solid. I think it's polished for the most part. Again, with a few things you could probably cut out of it. A couple things you could probably cut it back, like maybe 10 minutes overall. The visuals, fantastic. I love the look of Namor's kingdom. The underwater scenes look fantastic. They look, I mean, they just look great. Whether it's how they're lit or it just looks like an amazing world. You almost don't want to breathe air so you can live there. I admit it. It looks great. Wakanda, we get to see more of Wakanda this time too. And that's great. We go beyond just the main capital, which I guess I don't know if we really ever got a name. I guess the whole nation is just Wakanda, but you go outside the capital city more than just to one or two spots. You get to see like the ports. You get to see more of M'Baku's kingdom. And it's great. They're really expanding this world. And everything just looks so good. It looks pristine. And then you got the fight scenes. I love these fight scenes. They're so well done. The hand-to-hand combat's great. The impact they have, they hit you where they need to hit you. There's emotion behind everything. I'm sure if I looked really closely, I'd be like, well, CG here's not great, or CG here's not great. Whatever. That's a discussion for later on. But I thought the fights were really good. I love the hand-to-hand combats. The only thing that started annoying me about, I guess, the fights a little bit, because it involves costumes, there's too much Iron Man stuff. And what I mean by that is, some of the stuff is great. Like the Ironheart suit is great, and I understand stuff. But it's that heads-up display. I'm getting so tired of it. I wish somebody would come up with a different heads-up display or reinvent it somehow. I don't think every helmet needs that. Now, I do want to cover one other thing, or a theme of this movie. Yes, one of the things is about loss and how you deal with it. But there's a theme that I don't think people are really talking about. At least, not in the things I've watched. Maybe it's been mentioned and I just haven't seen it. But it's the idea that hasn't just vibrated in Black Panther comics. But it's a type of ideal that I wanted in Iron Man 3, between Iron Man and the Mandarin. Moving aside real quick, with Iron Man and the Mandarin, what I wanted, and in my head what I've always thought, is it's East meets West. Technology versus magic. When it came to Wakanda Forever, you have tradition versus updates, or the present day, modern technology, let's say. In the comics, that is a big thing. At least in the original comics it was. How do we deal with tradition versus how do we join the wider world, or how do we deal with isolation versus unification with the rest of the world? Which this movie touches on too. But the thing I noticed a lot, and this primarily comes from Shuri and Okoye, that's really where you see it come to blows or head-to-head, is the idea of the traditional way of doing things versus moving on with the times and updating traditions, growing with the times. Easiest way I can explain this is with Okoye, she prefers, she'd rather have the Dora Milaje armor and a spear. But Shuri is like, that's great, but why don't we update your armor? Why don't we update things about you? We put this suit on you and we just hype up, we improve your technique already. Not saying that the Dora Milaje suck, because they don't suck. These are all enhancements to help you be even better. You're at a 10 right now. Let's say 10 is the top. We want to take you up to a 20. And the suits will help you do that. And that's why, for me, some of this stuff is not downgrading the characters or downgrading how powerful they are. It's just giving them a boost. Upgrading them, giving them modern day stuff, and saying, you're good, now let's increase it and make you even better. with the spears. Shuri's like, hey, I got this new technology. I got new weaponry you guys can use. You don't have to rely on a solid spear anymore. We can give you gauntlets. We can give you vibro blades. I gave Nakia in the first movie, I gave her new upgraded vibranium weapons. I mean, the Black Panther suits have it. Why can't I give you guys this to upgrade your own technology? And it's an interesting idea. The old versus the new. And I just thought that was a really good, really interesting idea that they put forward with this movie. So yeah, that's my non-spoiler part of this video. For me, obviously I love it. I think this is a great movie. Admittedly, there's at least one movie I like better than it in Phase 4, and that's just because of characters. You know, I prefer this character over this character type thing. But yeah, this is a great movie, and in my ranking, I definitely have to give it a Mentor. This is a movie, if you have not seen it, what are you waiting for? Go out and see it right now, or well, whatever time it is where you're watching this. Go to the next available viewing that you can make. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the spoiler part of this video. But for those of you who aren't going to be continuing with us, don't forget to like or comment about this video. Let me know what you're expecting when you go see it. Tell me, what are your thoughts on some of the things I've mentioned? Are you really excited to see it? Heck, tell me if the movie's been spoiled for you by now. Whatever your thoughts are on this movie, on Black Panther, again, in general, no spoilers for people continuing with this video. But go see this movie. That's what I'm going to go say. So for you guys, remember, read what you love, enjoy what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. And I'll see you guys next time. So now we're going to talk all spoilers about this movie. So if my first section wasn't clear enough, if for some reason you're still here and you haven't seen this movie, now's the time to turn off this video and go see the film. So let's start off with talking about the biggest thing probably in this film. Shuri is now Black Panther. I'm okay with it. Now here's the thing. I was one of these people when this movie was first announced, or when they started first talking about this film. I was in the no, Shuri should not be Black Panther group. Eventually I thought she could. Eventually I thought Shuri could be Black Panther. But I just felt like T'Challa's story wasn't done yet. And I felt like listening to other people that, Shuri just wasn't quite right yet, or ready yet for the mantle. Kind of like they talk about in this movie, to a certain degree. But I always said, once they decided to recast, once they decided that they were not going to have T'Challa anymore, I'm like, okay, I will admit that I'm wrong as long as they give me a really good movie. I don't care what they do in the long run, as long as it's a good movie. And they did it. It's a great movie. I am perfectly fine with Shuri being the new Black Panther. Yeah. There's a bunch of idiots and people who just were like, no, woman can't be Black Panther. Shut up. Just shut up. Anyway, let's talk about in-story things, though. Some people are like, she's not strong enough. She's not tough enough. She's a scientist. Clearly, she has no skills, no fighting skills that make her worthy enough to be Black Panther, when you've got people that are by far better choices than her. To that, I say, yeah, there might be some. But the people that could challenge her have respected her. Nakia was the one that encouraged Shuri to take the flower. M'Baku, in the end, embraced her as Black Panther. it just seems like she was accepted. You know, the crowds accepted her, and granted, she didn't have to do everything T'Challa did, but she proved her worth. As for the fighting, we get instances. First off, Black Panther, she's fighting. In the original movie, she's fighting. Yes, she's using her gauntlets, which are awesome, by the way, but she's still fighting. She knows how to hold a spear. We see that when she's with her mother facing Namor for the first time. She's clearly in a stance, ready to fight, saying, hey, I know how to fight and I'm ready to do it. Which leads me to believe that she probably trained with T'Challa to a certain degree. Maybe she didn't go full in training with T'Challa because maybe her parents wouldn't let her. Maybe she didn't really care as much. Whatever the case, I'm sure, though, she trained with T'Challa at times. It only seems natural that if you're royalty and there's a danger of something happening, you've got to be able to protect yourself. So I just feel like, yeah, she would have trained with T'Challa at some point or trained with somebody. And it's not Shang-Chi. It's not where Shang-Chi's sister was forbidden, basically, from learning, from training, and she did on her own. Maybe there's things that Shuri did on her own, maybe. But clearly, I just think it's really dumb to even think that she didn't have some type of training. And let's not forget how fierce, and let's not forget what you can do when you get really, really angry, where you feel like you have nothing to lose. I mean, Shuri lost her brother. She lost her mother, which is one of the most powerful moments in this film. One of the moments that my jaw just dropped. I could not believe they did it. And that moment, yeah, that's going down in my list of moments that I'm going to get teary-eyed or get emotional every time I see it. Right now, we've got Yondu's death in Guardians Volume 2, and we have Aunt May's death in No Way Home. And now we've got Queen Ramona's death. That moment was just so powerful. But it's things like this that infuriate Shuri. These are things that add to Shuri's anger, that add to her ferocity. These are things that just drive her until she realizes how far she's gone. Which kind of leads into another thing. Killmonger's return on the astral plane. Yeah, you know what? I'll admit it. That stunned me. I'll say that right now. That stunned me because I thought that was going to be a young T'Challa. Because I'd seen young T'Challa somewhere. Never even thinking that it was T'Challa's son. That alone was kind of interesting. Which does make you wonder, did T'Challa not tell Shuri? I mean, maybe he probably just wanted to keep her out of the loop or something, just to try and keep as few people in the know as possible. Maybe just stuff happening was going to tell her, like her mother was going to tell her. Clearly, that's what she was going to tell him before Namor surprised him the first time. But interested to see what happens with that. But that's what I thought. I thought it was going to be a young T'Challa who was going to be the one talking to her. But to see Killmonger, many people would say, and I did too, to a certain degree, that's fan service. Everybody wants to see Killmonger. They want Killmonger to come back and be Black Panther, which I was like, no, that does not work at all. I'm sorry. Even in a world of multiverse, that doesn't work. But then, thinking about it and talking it over with people, they made me realize that, no, that makes sense. She was so angry, so revenge-focused, that it would make sense that Killmonger was the one she'd see. And it took the moment with her mother coming right when she needed to that stopped her from killing Namor. Oh, how does she survive the stab through when T'Challa doesn't survive things? She took the herb. So it healed her. That's kind of what they've said. But moving over quickly to T'Challa's actual death, I thought they handled it well. And I thought it was honored, and It honored Chadwick, in my opinion. And, you know, they don't say what kills him. But I did hear something with people saying, well, what killed him? I mean, if the herb, purple flower, is supposed to heal any wound or whatever, then what killed him? First off, I'm sure there's something that the flower doesn't heal. And maybe I thought they said it, or maybe it's just from everything I've read and just comics in general. I just went with the idea that it was cancer. That it was cancer that killed him. Because in comic book lore, yeah, cancer is the one thing that pretty much kills anybody. And I mean, heck, they used it like they did in the comics. They used it to kill Jane in Love and Thunder. So that was my thought about that. But yeah, so I was perfectly fine with Shuri becoming Black Panther in the end. I was fine with how they explained, or the whole part about T'Challa being gone. Funeral scene was very moving, very impactful. The death of Queen Ramonda, the battles between Namor and Shuri. I mean, just this movie was very complex, I think. And I feel like if I see it again, or when I see it again, I'll probably figure something else out. I'll probably see something else out that I didn't before. Just like it took two viewings and talking to people to understand that, yeah, Killmonger was a good part, had a good point, or was a good reason to be there. And you pick up on things like she was working on the heart-shaped herb, flower, whatever it is, early on, and I didn't put the two together. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'm missing something, but everything they did in this film, I felt like it had a reason, and it made sense, and it got emotional, it hit me, and yeah, it kind of leads. I've kind of been saying this, and maybe I've been beating around the bush, but I feel like recently I've really enjoyed all the Marvel stuff. You know, you can call me a hypocrite, say I don't look thoroughly, closely at everything, that I just will love and praise whatever Marvel puts out. And while I will at times say I definitely like this movie more than this movie, I like this series more than this series, the thing I feel, I'm just not a huge fan of all the negativity that Marvel seems to be getting recently. Whether it's this movie, the Shuri being Black Panther, or Jane becoming a Thor, whether it's how they killed T'Challa, or that they didn't recast, or just, I mean, a lot of it is centered around one idea, it seems. But or you know, like Love and Thunder also. Couldn't other people have gotten to eternity? Why does this happen that he can give all his power to people that he didn't before? Things that, you know, I've explained to myself at least. And I don't know, so many people are like, we don't understand this. Fine, I'll admit maybe things are a little off course, and maybe the casual fan or casual moviegoer doesn't quite understand things like hardcore comic book fans might, and even some of them have gotten lost. But, and yes, I talked to one of my buddies, my buddy Cletus, who you've seen many times on this channel, about this idea. And he did point out that, look, the first couple did seem more focused in general. And he made me realize that, yeah, maybe Phase 4 has kind of been shaky and unfocused. And people love this movie because it's focused up again. But when I started watching these Marvel films, like everybody else, I was, okay, how's this connected? Okay, we connect that to that. connect that to that. And I was all for that. And I'm still for that. But while there are some movies that are better than others in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm getting to the point where I just want to have fun. You tell me a fun, interesting story, you tie bits and pieces here to other films, that's great. Maybe I'll figure out where it is in the timeline of stuff, and we'll all come together, whether that's in a Thunderbolts movie, or the Kang Dynasty movie, or the Secret Wars, or maybe something else. But the truth is that I just want to have fun. And this is something that I've really been thinking about a lot recently. I'm not as drawn into the connective tissue anymore. That's not what, I still love that stuff, but I just want to have a fun time. I want to enjoy the movies. I want to have a lot of fun with whatever Marvel I'm watching. Whether that's Thor: Love and Thunder, it's just fun. I had fun with that movie. I was laughing, I was smiling. I didn't care if this part made sense because I wasn't focused on that little detail. I didn't care if the goats were annoying, which they did get. I was having fun. I didn't care. I don't care how bad people might say Eternals is. Did I go see it again? That is the one Marvel movie in this phase that I haven't gone to see twice or more times. But I appreciate what they did, and I understand why they did what they did with it. And that's really all I want from these movies anymore. I just want to have fun. And I feel like that's something we've lost. We're so focused, whether as fans, we're so focused on every little thing connects. And I'm still like that. I'll admit I'm still like that. But I've put that on the back burner. You mean I have to watch all these things to understand this one movie? No. I mean, you might think you do, and it might help. But I still feel like you can go and just enjoy a movie. You can just go and enjoy a Marvel film. Now, this sounds like, I know, me defending all the crappy ones and just saying everything Marvel puts out is great. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's getting to me. All the negativity that people have been putting out about these things, even the negativity I've talked with one or two people about, is starting to get to me. To the point where I feel like some people almost forget why these movies were good in the first place. Yeah, they had a solid story. Yeah, we were falling past. But they were fun. You can't tell me you didn't have fun with the Avengers. You can't tell me you didn't have fun when Iron Man took flight for the first time. Or when you saw Thor grab that hammer and start smashing I can't even remember the armor's name now. I feel stupid. You can't tell me you didn't love when Cap got his shield for the first time. Heck, you can't tell me you didn't like when Hulk started smashing stuff. You can't tell me that the moment the Avengers all were there and the camera just does that circle around them. You can't tell me that wasn't great and that wasn't just fun. Maybe some people are expecting Endgame level stuff still. But not every movie has to be Endgame. Not every movie has to mean something. Some movies can just be fun. And you know what? Maybe that's what Phase 4 should be called. The fun experimental phase. Because they've tried a lot of new things. They've introduced a lot of new characters, some new older characters. But I appreciate what they've done. And I look forward to every time I'm watching a Marvel show. Every time I'm watching a Marvel movie. It may not be my favorite, and I might not be jumping for joy by the end of the movie or the series or the episode, what have you. But you know what? I'm having fun for the most part. And that's the most important thing to me. Now, I apologize that if you came just for a Black Panther review, or if you came just for the spoiler stuff, I apologize. But I wanted to get this message out there because it's been eating at me. And I wanted to clear my head a little bit. So, with all that stuff, with all that emotion being said, thank you for watching. But with all these, everything we've talked about, what do you think of this Black Panther movie? Again, for those people who are watching this video and haven't seen the movie, please no spoilers in the comments down below. But overall, what did you think of this film? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you somewhere in the middle? Heck, what do you think about these Phase 4 films? Did I maybe give you something new to think about? Or is it just like, no, Phase 4 sucks, you're dumb? Okay? But you know what? Whatever your thoughts are, just go ahead and put them in the comments down below. Let's have an adult conversation. Let's have a nice, easy conversation about these things. If you like this video, like I said, don't forget to comment, like, and of course subscribe for more great content coming soon. But until our next video, remember, read what you love, enjoy what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time.